What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to RyanREAX. We got a full album review, reaction. Um, I heard the first couple singles when it came out 10 months ago. It's crazy. So yeah, Beyond the Chemical Doorway. I think that was the only single that they put out. No, they put out two. I forget the second one though. The Forever Rot. That was the second one. So the first song and the last song. So there's 8 tracks. I'm gonna skip the singles, and I'm just gonna get from song 2 to song 7. So we have Etched in Oblivion, Grinding Wheels of Ophanim, The Sun Gave Me Ashes, So I Sought Out the Moon, Into the Crystalline Crypts, A Sorrow-Filled Moon, and the Agony Seeping Storm. So those songs I'm going to check out. So this is, again, Moon Healer. Their last album was Sun Eater. What, 10 years ago? A long time ago. Alright, without further ado, let's go. Ooh. I don't know where to pause. Pause. Man, lots to unpack here. That bass. I've always been a fan of Job for a Cowboy's bass ever since the last album. And they're pretty much picking up where they left off with this bass on this album. The sporadicness, the groove, catchy, melodic, atmosphere. Vocals, I'm not even going to pretend to even know what they're saying. It's going really quick. Their first couple records, crazy guttural as well. All the records are going to be like this, but I guess because I listened to the song so many times, the old stuff, I was able to pick up, like, you know, stuff they were talking about. This, not even going to try to pretend, but definitely, even after all these years, this past decade plus, he still has a voice. Sounds identical as far as not losing any of the clarity or the range in his voice. The drums are phenomenal. Just doing all these fills, and I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I know anything about drums, but just as just an avid listener of this style of music, the drums are kicking butt. And then let's talk about this album cover. It's trippy. I mean, the first thing I noticed about the first singles that they released for this album, yeah, it's like a trip, like psychedelic, dark, mysterious. That moon's giving me Majora's Mask vibes, despite it being a skull. Then again, now it's giving me what is it? Cattle decapitation vibes with like the skull and everything. But yeah, let's keep going. Freaking crazy. I like the cadence changes too, with the layers. Love that bass. So much guitar work. That bass. Drums. Left ear happy. All right. Interesting. Next. Picking up where the last track left off, it feels like. Okay. Ooh, what? Like a space vomit. Like a vacuum. Okay. Alright, what are you gonna do? 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go. Keep me guessing. The sound is so full.
You will be the king of ashes, and nothing more.
So, like, the thing about this type of, like, progressive deathcore sounding, like the style, a lot of it's samey. Like, it's cool, talented musicians, good production, the whole 9 yards. But it's like, it's kind of like you know what to expect even though you don't. Like, I guess you could say that about anything, and it's preference. But it's like, the last two songs are so similar that there's nothing to, like, break them apart as far as, like, oh, this one's better than that one's better than this one. They're both decent for the genre, but generally, I'll have, like, my favorite tracks when it comes to, like, albums, you know? And this, so far, there's not enough separation between the songs for me to even pick a favorite. Which I guess that could be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. But let's check out some more. That sounds like Ginger. Like, this reminds me of Cattle Decapitation a lot. The vocals, the style. And after this part, a solo is gonna happen. See, it's already coming. Alright, you're keeping me guessing a little bit. It's powerful. Yeah, long solo. They know how to space it out too. Space. Give us some more. Okay. Either more solo after this or just vocals. Or vocals. Halfway point. See, like these parts sound similar to. Much like a concept album. It's like all one long song, it feels like. Alright, this is sick. Oh, this is sick. Oh, okay, I love this. Consider crystalline crib. Okay, okay. It's about frickin' time. Keep this up. But then it's back to this part. You know, I wanted what I just heard a little bit ago. See, like that last song was my favorite part, and it was only like a minute throughout that stretch. This so far, it's so samey. I knew the comments would be turned off too. feel like this is boring. It's boring. I guess I got one more song after this. It has these same similar outros. One more. All right. This is a fake profile. Is it? Oh. Maybe not. It screams fake. Hurry up, album. That's it. Now I want to see a review. My phonics looking. Yeah, I don't want to have a 22-minute review. I trust these guys' reviews.
Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Two Toe Tags and Miller Reviews. And today we're giving you guys our review of Moon Healer by Job for a Cowboy. So, it's been 9 years since this band has released an album. We've listened to it non-stop throughout the entire week. And I remember last week when we were discussing this album, we both thought, wow, there's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot going on in this album. I remember really enjoying it a lot on a first impression. Now, yes, there is a lot to unpack, but I ran into a little bit of an issue when it came to listening to this album throughout the week. It felt like a lot of the sections in these songs were very similar, but there were still cool moments and they were still cool individually. And I feel like I've made this point a lot throughout, I guess, the past few months, like this year so far, that once again, I guess I've said this before, in a vacuum, the songs are great. I think, and that is reflected upon in the reactions that we did for the music videos on this album, where we're like, wow, that's a really cool song. It's because we heard them only one song at one time and not heard the rest of them.
So just to be clear, that's what you mean by in a vacuum, like each song individually.
Yes, if you hear it on its own
Separately.
without the rest of them.
Yeah.
But another interesting thing I noticed about this album is how short it is. Like, it's
Thank
like,
God, honestly.
But
Because it'd
the
be
thing with
too
how short it
long.
is, this band's not known for having long albums by any means.
39 minutes, which is pretty average by today's standard, to be honest.
Somewhat, but only 8 tracks.
Yeah, so they're 8 slightly longer tracks than normal.
Yeah, but even so, like 8 individual tracks. But it's kind of like par for the course for this band, so it's not like they did anything different. That's just what they do. I remember last week you mentioned that, you know, this album kind of reminds you of something the Black Dahlia Murder would do.
I was thinking
as
Black
I listened
Dahlia.
This week, I started to hear that.
Yeah.
I started to hear that a little bit in the vocals, a little bit in the atmosphere there that they had.
Like the
but,
solos
it was
especially.
a little bit difficult to write notes for individual songs on this record because a lot of them did similar stuff. A lot of them had similar hard parts. The bass is prominent throughout the whole album, and I love the bass tone, and the parts where the bass is standing out doing some kind of lick is like awesome.
Yep.
Does that on a few of the songs, and I suppose that's one of the highest points of this album is hearing the bass do that.
Yeah, but the fact that it happens on every song makes it less special when it's happening.
To a
want it to
degree, I mean-
you want it to shine more on certain songs and not on others.
Yeah, to a degree, because I feel like every time I heard it, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's not like I heard it, I'm just like, oh, the bass is doing that again. I'll be like, okay, cool.
Yeah, but
the
you're gonna
bass
write the same note on every
It's because
song.
there's nothing else but the
problem.
bass.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's not worthy if it's happening all the time.
So I was able to write some notes about songs to get to some individual songs here. The Forever Rot is probably my favorite track on the album for its ending. The song like ends and then the weird kind of eerie part happens to finish the song. I remember enjoying that a lot when we reacted to it. It's kind of weird that it's like the song is kind of like over and then this happens.
You talking about the bridge section where it's got like this playing on the toms and it's got this weird like wiry guitar.
Yeah.
It's like wiry sounding. That's how I describe it. Yeah, that part's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I really, really like that. And that is also alluded to early on in the song, which is really cool as well. Other moments that I enjoyed, the bridge where the drums just kind of go wild in the middle of Beyond the Chemical Doorway is cool. Otherwise, the song just kind of came and went. The groove at the start of The Sun Gave Me Ashes, So I Saw It at the Moon is really good. And that song
Yeah.
felt like it's one of the better ones because it kind of felt like it really just progressed through a form as opposed to just kind of feeling like
The
here's
same.
some stuff. You know?
Yeah.
A lot of the album kind of felt like a little bit of stuff. There's a part in that song where it's like quiet and it's just the vocals saying something and then the band comes in.
Which song?
The Sun Gave Me Ashes.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was cool. Every time that part happened, I thought it was cool. And that's a main thing when you're reviewing albums the way that we do. If there's a single part in a song that keeps catching your ear every time, that's how you know it's a good song.
Right.
If you're listening to this album over and over and over, and that one part of that song keeps like, oh yeah, there's that thing again, there's that thing again.
Yeah.
That's noteworthy. Those are the kind of tracks you want on albums.
Yeah.
Especially when you review them the way that we do, which is listening to them a bunch throughout a week.
Yeah, for me, that's basically like a playlist-worthy song. But it can go the opposite way, too. Sometimes there's a part that you just don't like, and it actually ruins the song, and you're like, oh, this part's coming up, we're going to get ready, hit the skip button now, right? Sometimes it can go that way. But yeah, you're right. Like, sometimes it just takes one little section. It could be the bridge, it could be anything, and you look forward to it when you're listening to it. And it makes that song a worthy track.
Yeah, and in my case with that song, it's not like I specifically remembered it every time until I made a note about it. It would be the kind of thing where it's like I'd hear that, I'd be like, yeah, this is that song, yeah. And there was another song. It was A Sorrow-Filled Moon. I feel like the vibe of this song is similar to Into the Crystalline Crypts, but it's the kind of track where I'd be like, well, this song's pretty good. Which one is this? Oh, it's A Sorrow-Filled Moon, and that would happen a bit consistently. So I enjoyed that too. I guess another note that I have of stuff that stands out is the drum fill that starts the Agony Sleeping Storm. I thought that was cool.
That's dope, yeah.
Pretty consistently cool. You hear that, like, yeah, that was rad. But that's kind of generally be like a 2-minute thing. Something else for a second and be like, whoa, 2 tracks went by. What happened?
Yeah, I agree.
Basically.
And just, piggybacking off that point, you mentioned the Agony Sleeping Storm has that drum intro. So what would happen to me is I'd be listening to the album and that drum intro would happen. I go, oh shit, this song's already back again? Because it's such an identifiable part on the album, right? It stands out. And that was kind of like, it's almost like on most albums, that would be the beginning track. Track 1 starts, okay, now the album's starting again. On this one, it kind of loops around, and then I was like, oh fuck, we're already on this track again? The Agony Sleeping Storm? I already listened to the album already? Like, it just comes and goes. But I do agree with a lot of things TV Fish said about some of the songs. The Forever Rot, probably, yeah, top song.
Like, come on.
And at least take something away from it. That was not able to take anything away from that one. And from listening to the album, for some reason, I don't know if the vocals are pretty stagnant on this album. There's not much variation going on.
Well, there kind of is a little bit, but it's like the same thing for each song, you know what I mean?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. There's not much variation. It's not like the same exact voice the whole time. There's a little bit of like harsh and low and stuff like that, high and low. But I felt like track number 3, for some reason, the vocals were irking me a bit. I don't know why. And I even made a note that I feel like the vocals might be hurting the album a little bit by track 3. And that could be a lack of variation. That could be...
It's boring.
Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, track number 3 was rubbing me the wrong way. Don't exactly know why. It's hard to pinpoint these things sometimes. But I definitely think the last 2 tracks are the strongest. The Sun Gave Me Ashes, So I Sought Out the Moon. I thought that was going to be my highlight track. I mentioned that in the first impressions. Just based on the title alone, I was really into it. I love the title of that song. I think it's got cool meaning behind it, whatever your interpretation is. But the song grew on me a bit, because on my first impressions I wasn't that impressed. It grew on me a bit, but also not to the point where I was like in love with it. I feel like there's a lot more potential there. The opening track is also pretty strong. Etched Into Oblivion, or Etched in Oblivion, Into the Crystalline Crypts, and A Sorrow-Filled Moon were all very mid tracks to me. But honestly, none of these tracks are very far from each other. Like, I would say the mid tracks and the good tracks are very close. And the one bad track and the mid tracks are also very close. It's a very tight window of a spectrum that this album's presenting between its best and worst case stuff.
It's like the best and worst are just like slightly better and slightly worse than everything else.
That's right.
Now, with that being said, I suppose let's get a rating this album. I'm going to kick off
6.
these ratings and say that this album, it feels weird with this album, because when I first heard it, I thought this was great. There's going to be so much going on, but as I was listening,
5.
I just really struggled to take
mid.
away much from it. And I feel like it stagnates, but it still has cool stuff. And if I were to listen to any of these songs on a whim in the future, I would enjoy them a lot, and I know I would. But it still just kind of felt like a similar thing going on. So I'm going to give this album a 5.5. It's got,
6,
it's got a
5.
good foundation, but it doesn't really build much on top of it.
I like that wording, that it's got a good foundation. That's definitely for sure. And you know what? I did enjoy the album. I didn't hate it. It might sound like we didn't enjoy it by the way we're reviewing it, but it's not a bad album by any means. it's got some good stuff there. It's got some technicality. We did like the bass, the guitar, the riffs are pretty good. Some of the soloing's really nice.
The drums are good.
The drums are great, and the vocals are not bad. They're just, I wish there was more variety there. So I think it's a good album. I don't think it's bad.
6 out of 10.
It's just
If
a
he
little bit
if
too
he's
flat
voting.
for me as far as
Very
the
flat.
spectrum of enjoyability goes. So it's gonna get a 6 for me.
Yeah, I told you.
And there you
Spot
have it,
on,
6 for Wild
motherfucker.
Sauce, 5.5
Spot
for
on.
myself.
Oh, yeah.
But regardless of our rating, we'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this album. So let us know. What do you rate this album? Would you give it a toe tag? Would you give it similar scores to us? We'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And remember to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. I'm TV Fish.
I'm Wild Self.
I knew I could trust those guys' review. I'm like, there's just something. It's too samey. It's way too samey, and that's why they're not even like. It's been 10 months. We waited 10 years. We waited 9 years, and it's already been a year almost since it came out, and you don't hear anything about them. Nothing. Nothing. And then that also reminds me too. I got to check out the new Black Dahlia Murder. I gotta check out their new album because I heard like one of the singles and then part of like I don't even know what song it was, but like part of a random song. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna save this album for a reaction, which I'm not gonna do today because it's getting late and I personally don't care. So with that all being said, hopefully you enjoyed my reaction, even though it was just mostly me staring at my phone, yapping a little bit. But they hit the nail on the head, and I'm glad I listened to it before watching this. Then again, if it was a decent album, I wouldn't even have looked for other people's opinions about this album. I just had to freaking validate myself for not being crazy about the way I feel about it, because other people can, you know, obviously relate and agree. So with that all being said, appreciate you tuning in. 45 minutes, 20 seconds. Yeah, I know I skipped the first and the last song because I've already heard it. I want it to be a fair reaction, review, whatever. And I'm glad Job for a Cowboy's back. Hopefully the next album will give me a better experience. So with that all being said, may the Lord Jesus Christ bless you guys. Stay safe, take care, and I'll